Hey, gorgeous. Welcome to Season 2 of the Hormone P.U.Z.Z.L.E Podcast. I'm your host, Coach Kayla Smith, CEO of the Hormone P.U.Z.L.E Society, a women's health hub for fertility, hormones, and the business of coaching, creator of the Hormone P.U.Z.L.E method, an infertility warrior, two-time boy mom, and women's health expert. This podcast is for women struggling with infertility, painful periods, terrible PMS, or really just any symptom of hormone imbalance that they are ready to eliminate for good. Tune in weekly as we interview amazing experts in the fields of women's health, breaking down those hormone walls, nerding out on nutrition, and having way too much fun. Whether you're beginning your journey or you've been struggling for years, we're going to finally help you put those pieces of your hormone puzzle back together so that you can get pregnant and eliminate those pesky symptoms for good. Are you ready? This season is packed with even more expert guests sharing groundbreaking knowledge, giving you that jolt of energy that you so desperately need, sending you lots of virtual hugs, and inspiring you to take your fertility into your own hands and make that baby. Thank you so much for tuning in. Now let's get started on your road to transformation. I am super excited to introduce you to our guest today, Dr. Kyrin Dunston. After discovering the hidden cause of midlife weight gain and fatigue in women, Dr. Dunston lost a life-changing 100 pounds and fixed her adrenal fatigue. A pioneer of female hormonal injustice, Dr. Kyrin founded the Midlife, Metabolism Institute, and the Hormone Club to provide women of every age access to hormonal freedom regardless of their location. Dr. Kyrin has been featured on CBS, NBC, Reader's Digest, the Huffington Post, First for Women, Best Self, and more. She's your midlife metabolic ninja who will show you the steps you need to take to unleash your best health yet. And I am so excited for today's show where we talk all about hormones, the 7 main hormones that you need to pay attention to, and how to heal them holistically so you lose weight, you have energy, and you feel amazing in midlife and beyond. So without further ado, I would love to welcome Dr. Kyrin Dunston to the show. Hey, Dr. Kyrin, thanks so much for being here. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me, Keela. So excited to be here.
Yes, super exciting to talk to you today. So let's get into it. Tell me a little more about you. Tell us your story and kind of how you started working with women in their 40s who were, kind of overweight and tired.
Yes, that about sums it up. I was a successful OBGYN. I delivered thousands of babies, beautiful babies, and did lots of pap smears and helped women with their health. And I really loved it, but my health didn't love it. And at one point I weighed 243 pounds. I suffered with chronic fatigue, so I was tired all the time. All I had energy to do was go to work and then come home and sleep. So even though I was a wife and a mom, I really wasn't participating in my life because I had no energy. And maybe some people listening can relate. I also suffered with gastrointestinal problems. So I had irritable bowel. Like I didn't know if I was not going to poop for a week or if I was going to poop 10 times a day, loose poo. Or have bloating and gassiness. I had gastritis, so inflammation in my stomach. I had a depression and anxiety, and I at one point was on 5 different psychoactive medications because it was that bad. I was losing my hair. I had no sex drive. And like I said, I was married, which that's a problem if you're married and you have no sex drive. So I really looked and felt 20 years older than I was, Keela. And I know a lot of people can relate to that. I would look in the mirror and I'd think, what is wrong with me? I'm board certified OBGYN. I'm supposed to know more about women's health than anyone else. And I'm clearly so unhealthy, but I was doing all the things that my board certification taught me to do to figure out what was wrong, and two, fix it. Right. Yep. And I would run tests and they'd all come back normal. And I'd think, well, maybe I didn't do the right test. I do different tests. They'd all come back normal. I would try, of all the things that I had wrong with me with my health, the thing that bothered me the most was the weight. And I find this is true for a lot of women at midlife because it's visible. It's a visible sign that your body's out of balance and your health is out of control. I felt a lot of shame, right? I had what I call closet drama where nothing fit. It would be bulging here or bulging there. And I would just go, if someone invited me to a party, I'd have closet drama like, this doesn't fit, that doesn't fit, I don't like how it looks. And I'd eventually end up in a pool of tears on my bed crying. And I'm like, I'm not going because nothing fit. And I remember one day I used to go to Chico's because that was my go-to, because you can get a big size in Chico's without going to a big size store. So I went to the Chico's and I'll never forget it. Not even the largest Chico size fit me anymore. And I just ran out of there in tears. My husband at the time, couldn't even talk. I just shoved the clothes on him and ran out to the car bawling. And he's like, well, what's wrong? And I couldn't even express the frustration that I was feeling. I'm an OBGYN. I'm supposed to know how to fix this. I can't fix this. I had tried the diet pills, the Weight Watchers, the Ginny Craig's, Nutrisystem. I had tried all the calorie programs. I had tried working out like crazy when I had enough energy, which was not usually. And, I might have a little bit of success, but nothing ever just restored me to a place of balance and normal weight and normal energy. And I felt like a stranger in my own skin. And I know there are people listening who can relate to that. And I would just lay in bed at night and think what's going to happen to me if this continues? What is my life going to be like in 3, 5, 10 years? They had told me I needed a spinal fusion because I was having back problems because of my weight. And anyone who knows anything about spinal fusion knows that one spinal fusion always turns into more, right? Because it destabilizes the whole spinal column and it ends up in disability. So I didn't want to have that, but I didn't know what else to do. So I was really very hopeless and helpless. But I was the breadwinner in my family, so I had to keep putting one foot in front of the other. So that's what I did. And then one day, one of my patients who was around my same age, we were in our 40s, came in. And I had been working with her a year before on the same things I was having, plus the crazy periods. I was having that too. She was having that. And I had treated her the way that my board certification said. Every symptom gets a medication, right? Crazy periods, birth control pill. Can't sleep, sleeping pill. Mood out of whack, antidepressant, right? Reflux symptoms, you get a PPI, right? So I had given her the fistful prescriptions. And she never came to my office and said, hey, Dr. Kyrin, I feel amazing. I lost that 30 pounds. My sex drive's back. My hair is good. That never happened. It was just kind of, this isn't working. So she went away and then she came back a year later and I saw her at the end of the hall. And I knew something was different because her eyes were bright. Her skin was shining. Her hair was full. She had a smile on her face, a pep in her step, and she had lost all the weight. She looked amazing. So I couldn't wait to get her in the exam room and find out what happened. So that's what I did. What did you do? And she said, well, I went and saw this doctor in another town and they did these hormone tests that you've never done with me. And then they treated my hormones naturally and balanced my hormones. And now everything's great. And she's like, my weight is great and my sleep is great and my sex drive. Well, she was a walking billboard, but I'm like, this is not possible that I'm board certified OBGYN in America, and I'm supposed to know more about women's health, that there's something I don't know about. Like, there are no hormone tests I don't know about. What is she talking about? So I set out to disprove what she told me. I'm like, this is not a thing. This is just a freak thing. It's not a real thing. So I started researching. And what happened was I found out exactly the opposite. This is a thing, right? So in my mainstream medicine, we don't typically check women's hormones. That's what we're taught as residents. And that's how we practice. That's how I practiced for over a decade. We don't check women's hormones, which now, knowing what I know, is kind of insane, because it's like, what do we not check in medicine? We check everything. I mean, for God's sake, we look up your butt with a scope, but we're not going to check your hormones. So then I became voracious. I'm like, oh my gosh, what if this is true? I could use this and transform my health. And so I made a commitment that I was going to learn everything I could about this. I was going to use it on myself. And if it worked, because I had to be the guinea pig, I was going to teach as many women as possible about it. Fast forward 2 years, I had lost 100 pounds. I had energy like when I was 20. My hair grew back with a vengeance, sex drive back, off all prescription medications except hormones. So no antidepressants, no gastritis medications, no irritable bowel medications, like everything went back, and people stopped even recognizing me. Like, I'd walk in the mall and I'd say hi and they wouldn't even look. And then they get 20 feet behind me and they go, Kyrin, is that you? Yeah, that's me. Because I looked and felt 20 years younger. So that's why it's my passion now to help other women know that this is not normal for your age. There is a reason why you are miserable with, you fill in the blank, your weight, your energy, your sex drive, your hair, your mood, whatever it is. And if you're not finding it out at your doctor's, you're going to the wrong doctor. So you need to get the right information.
Yes, I love that. And just say, now you look amazing. So it's definitely your walking testament that it works. You can work with your hormones for sure. And we talk a lot about hormones in this show for getting pregnant, staying pregnant, and as you go into your 40s, 50s, and beyond. So I love that we're talking about this now. So let's dive into hormones a little bit. Well, first, I know you talk about 7 main hormones that we really need to pay attention to. So let's get into that. What are those, and how do we know if they're off?
Sure. So the 7 main, you've got hundreds of hormones, but the 7 main metabolic drivers, they drive your metabolism, which means your weight and energy, would be insulin, thyroid, cortisol, DHEA, estrogen, progesterone, testosterone. Those are your 7 main ones. Now, how you know they're off is if you have pretty much, I'll say this. So hormones are the foundation of your health. They are the communicators in your body. They originate in your nervous system, right? So what's your mainframe central computer in your body is your brain. And that controls everything that happens in your body. And your brain has 2 branches. It has the hardwired branch, which is, think about at your house, you've got your internet, right? Your hardwired internet, the modem's plugged into the wall, and then you plug your computer into the modem. That's a pretty stable connection, right? Just like your central nervous system sends nerves to your fingers so you can snap your fingers, right? That's your, part of your nervous system that is under your conscious control, pretty hardy. And then your hormones originate in your brain, but it's like your wireless internet. So think how the wireless internet in your house works. Signal has to go from one place and be received by your computer. And I don't know about in your house, but in my house, I have a wireless internet problem all the time. Like, we're on Zoom right now, and Zoom will freeze and stutter, unstable internet connection. Well, your hormones are the same in your body. There are a lot of working parts, a lot of moving parts. And so that means there are a lot of places where something can go wrong. So how do you know you have a problem with your hormones? Any health problem you have has a hormonal component to it. That's the bottom line. And anyone who tells you differently doesn't understand how the body works and doesn't understand hormones. So I don't care if it's that you have gout in your big toe and you think that has nothing to do with your hormones, probably your doctor doesn't understand that it has anything to do with your hormones. But what I want you to understand is that has everything to do with your hormones. So, and it's not if you have a hormone problem, it's just which particular hormones are out of balance and to what degree if you have a health problem. So any health problem equals hormone imbalance, because hormones are the communicators in your body, and that is the foundation of your health. So why is this? What's the most important factor in the success of any system? Communication. Right? So in a third grade classroom where the substitute teacher, the teacher is out sick and the substitute teacher's there and has had no lesson plan and doesn't know what to communicate to the students that they're supposed to do, what happens? Kids are running around the classroom, throwing spitballs and playing tag. There's been no communication. So communication is essential for any system to function optimally. When there's a hurricane, what's the first thing that has to happen to restore functionality to a devastated area? They've got to get communication open. How many hospital beds do you need? How many, construction crews? What types of construction crews? What first aid do you need? You've got to have communication in any system. Your body is no different. So in your body, your systems will only function as optimally as your communication, and your hormones are some of your most efficient, necessary communicators. So, and that's why any health problem equals a hormone problem, because it's a communication problem. Now, there are particular flavors to each hormone that might suggest I have an insulin problem versus I have a cortisol problem. So let's talk about those. So insulin problems, the worst of which being diabetes, would look like oftentimes some of the signs that you have an insulin problem is you get hangry, right? That hungry, angry, irritable, shaky kind of feeling when you haven't eaten for a few hours. I used to get like that in my office where I was an OBGYN. I used to get, my staff would know because we used to take lunch at 12. And round about 11 o'clock, I would literally want to eat the wallpaper. And I'd say to them, what are we having for lunch? But like with this intensity of like, I'm going to eat you if we don't tell me what we're having for lunch, and I'm so glad to be off what I call the blood sugar roller coaster. So that's one way. If you consume a lot of sugars or simple carbs like bread, pasta, rice, potatoes, corn, you likely are on the blood sugar roller coaster and have an insulin problem. If you don't move your body, you probably have an insulin problem. And if you have a lot of stress, you probably have an insulin problem. Fatigue is one of the hallmarks of insulin problems. I'll say, yes, people with other hormone imbalances can have fatigue, but when I see someone comes to me and they're like, I am so dead tired, I just can't do anything all day, that usually is an insulin problem. So those are cues to an insulin problem. Thyroid, definitely weight, and weight can be with insulin too. Thyroid can be weight and energy. Your thyroid is your metabolic coupler. It is your metabolic, it's what programs your metabolic rate, the rate at which you turn calories, which is fat, into fuel, which is energy. So if you have a weight and energy problem, by definition, you have a thyroid problem. Now, I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, no, my doctor checked my thyroid. I'm fine. And what I want you to tell you understand, is that does not mean that. If you're doing the wrong test and you're reading them the wrong way, you're going to miss that you have a thyroid problem. 80% of the women I work with who say, oh, no, I'm fine. Checked my thyroid. My doctor checked it, said it was fine. If you have a weight and energy problem, 80% chance, even if you had your doctor check your thyroid, you have a thyroid problem. Why is this? Because in mainstream medicine, we are taught to do the wrong tests and read them the wrong way to properly diagnose sluggish thyroid problems. And it's not their fault. Your doctor's brilliant and cares, but they're just doing what they were taught. That's what I did for decades until I knew better. And like Oprah says, when you know better, you do better. So I had to learn the hard way through my own health that we're doing the wrong test and reading them the wrong way. So when you get the right test done, you read them the right way, then you find out you have a thyroid problem and you can do something about it. And then cortisol, whoa, what doesn't affect cortisol? I call her Queen Cortisol. She is your survival hormone. You can't live without her. She programs your sleep-wake cycle, your energy, your weight, and your immune system function, which is, do I get a virus or not when it comes around? Do I get cancer? Most people don't understand that cancer is immune system failure. Or do I get autoimmune disease, which, if you ask most people what they're most scared of in life, it's cancer, dementia, which is an autoimmune disease, and getting a horrible contagious illness, right? Well, that speaks to your Queen Cortisol. And there is not a person in today's society that doesn't have a cortisol problem. We all do. It's just a matter of to what degree and what's your particular flavor, right? Like we've all got eyes, just what's your eye color? We all have cortisol problems. Why? Because we live in the most stressful environment that we are not biologically meant to be able to sustain, right? We were not made to have 24-hour news network on every channel with people sounding alarms about and seeing in every pocket and corner of the world all the travesty that's happening in full color with sound effects 24 hours a day. We were not made to live in boxes disconnected from nature, eating food that comes in a plastic wrapper, right? We were not made to work in environments with artificial lights and sit in a cubicle all day. So the way we live is so stressful. So if any of those boxes check for you, you've got a cortisol problem. And you just got to figure out to what degree, and that's a salivary cortisol test. And then sex hormones, if you're a woman over 40, you have a sex hormone imbalance. You're programmed that way at birth. You have programmed obsolescence of your sex hormone factory, and that's your ovaries. And the ovaries are getting tired around about 35. So by the time you're 40, your levels are becoming imbalanced. And so you have that imbalance. But what amazes me is that because there's this almost systematic gaslighting of women in the medical industry, we act like we don't know. Well, I don't know why you can't sleep. I don't know why you have no energy. I don't know why you're gaining 50 pounds, but it's normal for your age. Don't worry about it, which is a bunch of, can I curse?
Yes.
Bullshit, right? It's bullshit. We know exactly why you have this. At least I do, and enlightened people like Keela and me. We know exactly why you have this, and we know exactly what to do about it. But medicine, and then the next question I know people are thinking is, but why? We trust our doctors. Why? And so what you need to understand is that medical care is a specific model. And it was designed along with your health insurance, a little over 100 years ago, to provide you enough Band-Aid type care so that you could get better and go back to work, so you could make your employer some money. It was not designed for you to be optimally healthy. Hence, the entire system has evolved to propagate that foundational mission. Get people okay enough to get back to work and make their employer money. That means I don't really care why you have gastritis. I'm just going to give you a pill to shut off the acid in your stomach so you can get back to work, right? Meanwhile, really not paying attention to the fact that when I shut off your stomach acid, then you have none. You're not sterilizing your food, so parasites and bugs are getting and infecting your gut, which are causing inflammation and other health problems. Not paying attention to the fact that, and PPIs or inhibitors are only approved for use for 2 weeks, by the way, if anyone's listening and been on them longer, but people I see are on them for years. Neglecting the fact that your food needs to be broken down in your stomach, that your acid actually provides a service. And when you don't have that acid, you don't break down your food and you don't digest it. And guess what then happens? You get nutritional deficiencies because you're eating, but you're not breaking your food down into the building blocks so that you can absorb it. So you need to understand when you say, but why? You hear me saying this. I know there are people scratching their head going, but we're taught to trust our doctors and our medical system. But you have to understand the whole medical system was built to get you back to work and okay. Mm-hmm. It's not designed to have you thrive. So if you want something different, you're going to have to invest in your health and invest time and money to get the information you need to know, what do I need to do to fix that gastritis that's actually going to help me heal? What do I need to do for all these health problems, for my weight, right? They're going to tell you all day long, this is a total gaslight again, that you need to eat more and exercise less. It's just your fault. You're weak. You're morally weak. You eat too much. You're gluttonous. You're lazy and slothful. You don't exercise enough. And you know what? We've heard it so much, ladies, that we do it to ourselves. We do it to ourselves. Oh, I'm overweight. I'm so lazy. I'm so greedy and hungry and slothful and gluttonous. We do it to ourselves. We do it to each other. So stop it, right? So this is what you're dealing with. And so what Keila and I are here to do is to teach you the truth about your hormones so that you don't fall prey to this nonsense. And I know this is way more answer to the question than you gave, but those are some of the symptoms that you're going to have with those 7 main metabolic drivers. And again, I'm a proponent of testing, not guessing. Test your hormone levels, find out what they are. And you can't go to your regular doctor for this, y'all. You got to go to somebody like me and Keila, who has programs, who teaches you about this. And then you've got to balance them naturally.
Mm-hmm. I love it. And so I could talk about this all day. We are going to take a short break and hear a word from our sponsors. But before we do that, I just wanted to comment on a couple of things that you said. I love that you said first, our hormones control everything. And I know we're talking about women in their 40s and 50s today, but if you are struggling with infertility, it is probably a hormone issue. And we need to see what that is, and so we can fix it naturally. So that's the first thing. And then the second thing is I definitely agree. Test, do not guess. That's our motto here at the Hormone Puzzle Society. I start everybody with a hormone test to test all those 7 hormones that you just mentioned, because that's usually the key to tell me what's going on. So I love that. So now we're going to take a break. And when we come back, I want to dive into practical tips around how we can heal our hormones naturally through food and lifestyle, and some stuff people can start doing today to do that. So we'll be right back.
Hey y'all, it's Coach Kayla here. I hope you are loving this episode as much as I am. We will be back in just a minute, but first, a word from our sponsors. This episode is brought to you by the Hormone Puzzle Society, a women's health hub for fertility, hormones, and the business of coaching. Whether you're struggling to get pregnant with pesky hormone symptoms, or you're working to build a career in the fertility and women's health space, we have you covered. Visit our website at www.coachkayla.com to learn more on how we can help you. Text the keyword fertility to 615-257-8855 for your free fertility meal plan. Text the keyword hormone to 615-257-8855 for your free cycle syncing quick start guide. Text the keyword fertility coach to 615-257-8855 to get a copy of our course catalog and to learn more on how you can become a certified fertility coach or add fertility coaching to an already existing wellness practice. Text the keyword club to 615-257-8855 to learn more about joining our Hormone Puzzle membership club.
Welcome back, Dr. Kyrin.
Glad to be here, Keila.
Yes. So let's dive into some practical tips. So talk to us about some of your favorite ways to start optimizing our hormones so that we are healing that root cause and being optimal in, 40s, 50s, however age we are.
Yeah, I know it can be a little confusing. I'm talking about 7 main metabolic hormones, and people are like, oh my God, where do I start? Mm-hmm. So back in college, I used to knit. How many of you are knitters, right? So I used to love to knit. I grew up in New England, and, the winters are pretty cold. And so I would knit these huge wool sweaters, remember they had the big cow neck. And I also had a cat. And the cat would get into the yarn and knock that yarn around all day long. And then at the end of the day, I'd be left with this knotted ball of yarn. And I'd have to figure out how to get it back into a nice even ball that I could use to knit. Well, your hormones are kind of the same. So I would be overwhelmed. I'd see what the cat had done and I'd say, oh my gosh, where do I start? So let me ask you, where do you start to try to unknot a knotted ball of yarn? You find the loose piece at the end and you work from there, right? So that's the same way with your hormones. So what is the loose piece that's hanging off the end of your hormones? It is your insulin. Okay, so all hormone balance starts and ends with insulin. And what programs your insulin is what you eat. So that is where you start, is with what you are eating. And in order to program your insulin to balance, you've got to get rid of its reactivity, right? Because if you're eating a standard American diet, then you eat like a standard American breakfast. Let's see, OJ, toast, hash browns. You might have some bacon and eggs. Awesome. But you might have sugar in your coffee, pancakes, syrup. American breakfast is a carb fest, which shoots your blood sugar up, shoots your insulin up, and what goes up must come down. So that's that roller coaster. And then a couple hours later, your blood sugar's crashing down, and then you get hangry, and then you do it all over again at lunch because you have what? A sandwich with 2 ginormous pieces of bread. You have chips on the side, and you have a soda with like 36 grams of sugar in it. Your body's off to the races again, up with the blood sugar and the insulin and down. And then what happens? Crash mid-afternoon. Oh my gosh, I need a candy bar. Or even better, you think you're being healthy. You're like, I'm going to have a granola bar. That's healthy. It has a green wrapper. And I saw the TV commercial. Those skinny people were hiking on the mountain eating those granola bars. They're healthy. No, they are not healthy. Do not believe what Madison Avenue is trying to tell you, right? That's called marketing. Marketing, they are not healthy. They have just as much sugar as a Snickers bar, so you may as well have the Snickers bar. Don't lie to yourself and eat granola bars and think that you're doing something. And I'm going to go out on a limb here. Don't even say you're eating a Kind bar and that's healthy. Because if you tell me you're eating Kind bars, you don't understand hormones, right? You don't understand insulin. Or you say you have a Greek yogurt and you're like, that's healthy. I saw the commercials. They've got probiotics. I'm going to take that. I get the strawberry kind. No, that has as much sugar as a Snickers bar. So it's all about sugar. You have to get off sugar. And don't tell me, oh, honey's okay. It's natural. It's better than sugar. No, it doesn't matter what kind of wrapper it comes in. It doesn't matter that cute little honeybees made it on a honeybee farm. It's all sugar. It's raw, refined white sugar. It's turbinado. I don't care if it's organic. It's syrup. It's corn syrup. It's agave syrup. It's honey. It's all these things. Your body treats them the same. And then it's all the simple carbs that immediately turn into sugar. It's anything made with flour. So bread, it's rice, it's pasta, it's potatoes, white potatoes, sometimes sweet, and corn, right? So you've got to get rid of all of those. And I know some people are like, what? But that's the staple of my diet. And I know if you tell me that, you've got an insulin problem because you're already jonesing for some, because you're like, I can't give that up because I need it, because you got a psychological dependence on it. Sugar addiction is 80 times as powerful as cocaine addiction. This was discovered at Princeton University. They did this beautiful study on rats where they looked at would the rats push a lever, what the rats would push a lever for. And cocaine or the white stuff in the middle of an Oreo cookie. 80 times as powerful. They would go for the white stuff in the Oreo cookie over the cocaine, which is one of the most addictive substances on the face of the earth. And you watch TV, you see the media, and it's become such a factor in our society that we all eat this standard American diet, or SAD, SAD diet. And so it's so indoctrinated in our culture, but it is so foreign to what we're supposed to eat. We've only been eating this way for 100 years, and it took only that long for us to have, an obesity rate and overweight rate of 60% and be dying from diabetes with over 60 million people diagnosed with it, thinking that this is something I'm going to have for life. No, it's not. You can choose not to have diabetes type 2 I'm talking about. If you're not too far gone, you can completely reverse it. So you have to find that loose edge of the knotted ball of yarn, and that is insulin. You've got to cut the sugars out. In fact, I'll go so far as to say I am not a proponent of counting calories. You couldn't pay me to count calories. It's a waste of time to count calories. What you do need to count are sugar grams. You need to get your sugar grams down. For you individually, testing is what will help you know how much you need to get them down to and what your personal goals are. But hormone balance starts with the loose thread of insulin. So that's where you start, Keila.
Perfect. I love it. And can you go in a little deeper? What should we be eating instead? We've cut all we cut our SAD diet out. So what is a good diet to shoot for?
Real food, right? Mm-hmm. So what do I mean by that? I mean food like it comes from nature. That means lots of vegetables, just like they come from nature, animal proteins like they come from nature, beans and legumes like they come from nature, fruits like they come from nature, although some of them are very high in sugar. So if you're trying to get off the blood sugar roller coaster, you probably don't want to be eating mangoes and melons, and even peaches and apples. Like a medium Fuji apple has the same grams of sugar as a Snickers bar. So if you're trying to get off the blood sugar roller coaster, you want to just eat berries and green apples for your fruit. Lots of veggies. This is excluding potatoes, sweet potatoes, white potatoes, beets, and those starchy vegetables, and corn, because they rapidly, turn into sugar. And so you want to eat veggies and lots of them. People say, well, if I can't eat the carbs, what do I eat for breakfast? That's the biggest problem people have. We're very emotionally attached to our breakfast. Now, I love me some eggs and bacon, but I'm not going to have toast. I'm not going to have orange juice, and I'm not going to have any sugar in a hot beverage. I'm not going to have hash browns, right, or pancakes. So that's a great breakfast, but you also shouldn't be eating that every day. Why? Because your body was made to have variety. A few hundred years ago, we couldn't get bacon every day. We couldn't get eggs every day. We had to eat seasonally and locally, and that's how our body is designed to eat. So it gives us the nutritional kind of flow that we need throughout the year and season energetically. Summer fruits are meant to be eaten in the summer. So if you're eating summer fruits in the winter, that's an energetic mismatch, and your body gets confused. So just like it's not used to getting CNN 24 hours a day, it's not used to seeing summer melon in January, and that's confusing to your body. But also eating the same thing repeatedly, which we humans like to do because we're creatures of habit, alert your immune system that there's a problem. So our immune system is like our body's military, designed to protect us from outside invasion and foreign invaders. Well, it does the same in your gastrointestinal tract. And it gives food a pass. It allows it to go into you without attacking it because it knows you need nourishment, but only to a certain extent. If it sees bananas every single day, after a few days, it gets upset and starts getting on red alert. So why is this? Well, you go outside your house in the morning one day and you see a strange man at the street. And you might just wonder, oh, I wonder who he is and I wonder why he's here, but doesn't look like he's doing anything harmful. So you just go about your business. Well, you go out of your house the next day and you see that same strange man sitting on the curb outside your house. And now you're looking, well, he doesn't have any yard equipment. He's not doing yard work. He's not working on a car. He's just standing there. What's going on? You might even mention to your neighbor later that night, hey, did you see that strange man? What's he doing? Your neighbor says, I don't know. If you come outside of your house every day for a week and you see that same strange man standing at the curb, you are going to be concerned. You're going to call your neighborhood watch. You might even call the police and say something's wrong. This guy's standing outside my house. Your immune system is designed to detect threat in your body. And when it sees the same foods over and over and over again, just like that man standing at the curb, it says something's wrong. That damn banana has been here every day for 7 days. Right. And it is going to start attacking the banana. It doesn't have a police department to call. It's just going to start attacking. And this is how we develop food sensitivities. So what do I eat? You eat seasonally, rotationally, you don't want to eat any one food more often than once every 4 days. That means if you eat bananas on Monday, you wait Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, you would eat bananas again. You don't eat them every day. And I know right now you're having anxiety because you're like, but Dr. Kyrin, I have some, whatever. I have strawberries every morning. What would I eat if I don't eat strawberries? You'll be okay. You'll be okay. Your body will thank you. So okay, now what to eat for breakfast is the biggest question people have. And you're not going to like my answer, Keela. Soup. Or anything you would eat for dinner. I know everybody's having a panic attack right about now. And I say don't have contempt prior to investigation until you try it. Once you get off the blood sugar roller coaster and you start seeing how great you feel, how your energy increases, your mental clarity, your mood, your digestive function, everything, you will love soup for breakfast or anything you would eat for dinner. So leftovers from the night before, soup, like a beef stew with beef and veggies and broth. You got that bone broth in there that heals your gut. That's a great breakfast. And then, throughout the day, it's like don't have a sandwich with bread for lunch, use a lettuce wrap instead. Or my favorite lunch is a big old salad with all different greens and veggies in there and a healthy dressing. So really just, it boils down to meat and protein. That's what you want to eat. And I'm not saying this is forever and that you can't enjoy some of those other things, but when you're trying to get off the roller coaster, you have to definitively step off the roller coaster and allow your body time to adjust. And you can really get off the roller coaster with diligent treatment pretty quickly within a matter of a few weeks if you absolutely cut all these things out. And then you have to figure out your kind of sugar resilience. How far can I tip my toe over without getting back on that roller coaster? And for each person, that's very unique.
I love it. And what about meal timing? Where do you fall on that? How often should we be eating? And what does our overnight fast need to look like?
Yeah, so I know intermittent fasting is all the rage right now. And the research shows a lot of utility for a lot of diseases, multiple sclerosis, some autoimmune conditions and other conditions. However, I will say that because I work with women mostly at midlife, most of us, like we talked about earlier, everyone has a cortisol problem in this day and age, everyone. And most women at midlife, by the time they've lived several decades, have such entrenched severe cortisol problems because they've not been addressed that intermittent fasting and increasing that fasting window overnight actually harms their cortisol more. And I see a lot of women who have failed intermittent fasting. They might initially have some improvement, but then it stops and they can never lose that last 15 pounds or whatever their situation. They're not getting the results. And that's because they have a really serious cortisol problem. So my belief in what I've seen working with thousands of women over a decade doing this is that women at midlife need to not intermittent fast and need to break the fast within an hour of awakening, and have consistent caloric input throughout the day to balance, get off the blood sugar roller coaster, balance their insulin. And insulin and cortisol are bookends of your blood sugar. So it's insulin on the top and your cortisol on the bottom. And so in order to heal your cortisol, you've got to get off the blood sugar roller coaster, heal the insulin. Now, once you get balanced, then I think people are fine to increase that fasting window and get that benefit from the intermittent fasting. It decreases a lot of allergic type symptoms because, for instance, we talked about food sensitivities, right? So if you're eating from morning to night, your body is constantly getting what we call an antigenic load, right? You're seeing broccoli and lettuce and green peppers and oranges, right? You're seeing different antigens, things that your immune system could react to all day long. That's a lot of work for your digestive system and your immune system. So it's a way of getting a degree of bowel rest and immune system rest to narrow that down to like 8 hours a day. Then your body is only having to go on high alert about what's coming through in terms of immune function for a fewer period of hours. Also, if you're eating fewer meals, you're more likely to eat way more antigens. So you're cutting down the antigenic load, which cuts down on food sensitivities. And so then I think it's a beautiful tool to use after you've balanced the cortisol.
Gotcha. I love it.
Yeah.
Well, I could talk about this all day, but we do have to wrap up. So where can we find you? How can people work with you?
Sure. You can find me on my website, and it's Kyrin, and I'll spell that because it's a little odd. It's KYRINDUNSTONMD.com. You can sign up for my master class there, which talks about how enlightened women over 40 lose weight, balance their hormones, supercharge their energy using a prescription that they don't need from their doctor. And I'm on Instagram and Facebook at Kyrin Dunston MD. So I look forward to seeing you guys there.
Yes, I love it. I love it. And we'll have all that in the show notes. So it'll be really easy for them to find you. And so any final thoughts before we close? Yeah. Yes,
actually, and I forgot my podcast, Her Brilliant Health Revolution, on where podcasts are found. So you definitely want to check me out there, which Keela was on.
Yes. Say that one more time, the name of your podcast.
Sure. It's Her Brilliant Health Revolution.
I love it. And yes, I was on there. It was so fun. So yeah, please, everybody listening, go check out Dr. Kyrin's podcast for sure. And all her social media and her website. I love it. So any final thoughts, words of encouragement, anything you want to leave us with?
Sure. I would just leave everyone with that. You are not alone. Number one, every woman over 40 and most below 40 that is experiencing some degree of hormone dysfunction because of the world that we live in right now. So you're not alone, and there are solutions. If you are listening to this podcast, then you're already on the right path. Just take the next step and get tested. Don't guess. Don't just try this and that willy-nilly. It's not going to get you the results that you want. A woman just joined my Hormone Balance Mastermind, and she said, yeah, I was at your Stop the Menopause Madness Summit back in November, and now we've run it 3 times. She said, I thought it was finally time to join. I'm like, yeah, your hormones are not going to fix themselves. It's just not going to happen. And you're not going to fix them by just trying this supplement and that. You really need a coordinated approach. It's a complicated field. And so someone like Keela or me can definitely help you. You're not alone. There are answers. Take the next step.
I love it. And I completely agree. Oh, thank you, Dr. Kyrin. So fun having you on the show.
It's awesome to be here, Keela. Thank you for having me.
Yes. And thank you, ladies, for listening to the Hormone Puzzle podcast. Until next week. Bye.
Hey, hang on just 1 second before you go. I want to make sure that you are aware of all of the amazing free resources that I have for you on my website at CoachKayla.com. From a fertility meal plan, a cycle syncing quick start guide, a holistic healing cookbook, as well as master classes, blog posts by me and some amazing experts in the fields of fertility, hormones, and nutrition. So many wonderful resources that will help you on your journey. And I wish there had been something like this when I was going through my 2 years of infertility, but there just wasn't. And so that's why I decided to create all of this for you. So make sure that you go and check it out and you take advantage of this plethora of support that I have provided for you. And spoiler alert, these were some of the same tricks and the same foods that I used to get myself pregnant, not once, but twice, even after my doctors said that I couldn't. So I know that these things work. So make sure you take advantage of that. And I cannot wait for you to be my next success story. So thanks, love. See you soon. Thanks for tuning in today to the Hormone Puzzle Podcast. Check out the show notes for today's episode at CoachKayla.com. If you like what you hear, please subscribe and leave a review. Thanks for hanging out with me, and I'll see you next week.